What is going on, traders? Welcome back to the Traveling Trader. Happy Tuesday to you. Let us get right into it. So I do want to talk about Bitcoin and give you a couple of indicators and new things to look at with regards to Bitcoin's volatility, as well as the correlation between Bitcoin and gold, which is this indicator down here. We'll get into that in a second. And then we'll go over the equities market. The equities market has actually been killing it for us lately. It's acting like the crypto market of old. We've had a few crazy trades. The Shopify long option call spread gave us 63% gains and closed it out successfully. We traded the TVIX, which is the volatility index. Obviously, the stock market has been acting pretty erratic and volatile lately, and we've been taking advantage of that by trading the TVIX up 12% on that. And then gold is just at a 6-year high currently, and the GLD ETF is been killing it for us. We're up about 15% on that. If you want access to the trade alerts, link is in the description. The diamond traders and above also gives you access to the options and stocks as well. But getting back to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is forming this bullish pennant right here, right? You see this pennant, you see the pole here, and it is typically a bullish continuation pattern that tends to break to the upside, but doesn't have to. So in terms of what Bitcoin is going to do, well, currently we're sitting on the 100-day moving average, this yellow line, and we've been here for over a week, almost 2 weeks actually, and it's correlating with the support line of the bullish pennant, right? We are so desperately needing volume because that is part of the reason why we have this low volatility period here. There isn't any new money coming in. There aren't many retail investors coming in, and you tend to see these lulls in volume that create these low volatility periods. But unfortunately, we can't sit here forever without volume, and if we don't get it, we will break down. Looking at the volatility, I mean, we're currently at a swing low at around 3.5%. And what happens is typically, the last time we were here was back in June, and we saw a breakout from that lull in volatility, and that is when we eventually broke down from that 13,000 mark all the way down to below 10K, right? And there isn't a correlation between volatility and price where every time volatility goes up, price goes down, and vice versa. Price can go up and down. Volatility just means swings, how swingy is the price, whether we're going up or down. So in this case, this isn't going to give us a clear direction of where Bitcoin is going, but what it is telling me, or what it is telling us at the moment, is that we are at a valley in terms of Bitcoin's volatility. So we can expect a pretty violent breakout from here, right? Whether it is to the upside or the downside. And through our analysis, we'll try to determine in what direction. Although that is not always clear. There's a misconception about TA that you can tell the direction all the time. Sometimes there are trades that are unclear, and you do have to wait on the sidelines before the market presents a clearer picture to you, or you do have to take a position that is rather protected, and you can't be as liberal with your stop limits as you'd like to be. So for instance, in this case, yes, we are riding the support line of this pennant. We are sitting at the 100 moving average, a level that hasn't been tested since January, February of this year. And you can enter a trade in here, assuming that you have a pretty tight stop limit in case we break down due to this lull in volume and the low volatility period that is about to break down. There's many different ways to play this depending on your risk tolerance, right? You can wait for the breakout of the pennant, assuming that the pennant keeps going and we reach closer to the apex of the pennant. You can play the breakout in case we do, break to the upside. You can put a stop limit buy order above the resistance of the pennant, or you can just do nothing and wait to see what Bitcoin does and readjust from there. I mean, if Bitcoin does break down, for instance, and we get to this historical support level here at around 9,100, you could put in a buy order there. But currently the direction of Bitcoin is unclear, and I'll tell you why. Because we do have this bullish pennant. So I guess from a baseline stance, right, or from a superficial stance, you could say, oh, this is a potentially bullish pattern. I'm just going to say bullish. You can say that. However, there is something to contend with. Looking at the weekly Bitcoin price chart, right? There's this 21 weekly EMA that looms over us, this white line here. And it would be rather weird if Bitcoin continues on for much longer without retesting this. It would be definitely out of the ordinary. We're already tying the longest period that we've gone without retesting this 21 weekly EMA. You already see momentum starting to drop on the MACD on the weekly, right? This histogram is turning red. The MACD crossover to the negative side is already happening. And, the RSI is sloping downwards. But on the daily, you can go back to the daily and see that, we are testing this 100 MA, and you expect to at least hold up and potentially break out from there, especially that it's forming this potentially bullish pattern. So I think it is all volume dependent, to be honest. If we don't get volume and we continue in this low volatility range for a few more days, we will see a break to the downside. And hopefully we can get this 21 EMA out of the way. I'll definitely be setting up buy orders at the 21 EMA, and I'll be sending out those signals along the way on the Discord where we post our trade alerts. Again, if you want access, link is in the description. So the direction of Bitcoin, I would say, in the short term is not very clear. In the long term, I could tell you we're bullish. But if you take a look at the Woo Bull charts pricing models, you'll see that Bitcoin has a long way to go before it hits a top. So in the long term, it shows that Bitcoin's top, and it's obviously this has been true along the way, right? Bitcoin's been forming higher highs on the long term, going all the way back to 2011. So, rightfully so, Bitcoin's next top is projected currently at around $55,000 or $56,000. Now, that could be 2020, that could be 2023. Who knows? Between this top here back in November 2013 or December 2013, by the time it hit the next top, it was December 2017. That was 4 years. Between these two tops, 7 months between these two tops. So, all is that for the long term, Bitcoin is definitely projected is still bullish. And I think we can abandon the idea of Bitcoin being a tulip or a bubble, right? Bitcoin is clearly a store of value, and the market has determined so. Bitcoin's price would not be propped up since 2011, and really before that, but ever since we've had structured exchanges and stuff, we could say since 2011, Bitcoin's price has really been propped up on this upward trend. And, a tulip or something that's just a fad would not really sustain this level of price action for this long. So going back to Bitcoin, I think the direction if I was a betting man, I would say that in the short term, we will see a breakdown of this price level because of the fact that we're not getting any new money in, right? We will see a breakdown of this price level. And I think that you can reliably say that we will see a stop at around the 21 weekly EMA, which also happens to be this period here of resistance, right? Resistance, which would now essentially be support. So anywhere between here and where we've historically seen support in the last 2 months, which is around 9,100. I would say somewhere in this range is where we might see a stop in Bitcoin's retracement before a potential climb upwards as well. I don't know that we'll fall all the way down to the 200 MA, which is at around 7,400. It's certainly possible, but I wouldn't say that's plausible at the moment. And this would all support a potential Q4 rally as well on Bitcoin's price. So one other thing that I wanted to look at was the correlation between Bitcoin's price and gold. So this right here, it's in TradingView if you have it. This indicator right here is called the correlation coefficient. If you type in CC, you'll see it here, correlation coefficient, and you can add a symbol to it, and I added gold. And so this tells you, for those that say, oh, Bitcoin and gold are correlated, or Bitcoin and the stock market are negatively correlated, it's not such a straight and narrow picture, right? So this correlation coefficient, every time we get closer to 1, which is right here, the reading here, then the markets are correlated, and every time it falls below, then the markets are negatively correlated. So you could see that it's actually a wavy, volatile pattern, right? That goes in and out between being correlated and between being decorrelated. Can you use this to determine Bitcoin's price? Well, you could certainly use it in confluence with other indicators. And if I was to use it with my analysis that Bitcoin's price is likely to break down without volume. Well, if you look at the negative correlation, gold, as I said, is at a 6-year high right now, right? So if you're looking at this negative correlation, obviously as gold goes up or stays at this price range, then it will remain negatively correlated with Bitcoin as long as Bitcoin stays in this price range, right? So if you look at the previous periods of negative correlation, it's lasted for, let's see, this one lasted from June 5th until June 18th, so about 2 weeks. This one lasted from July 14th to July 31st, a little over 2 weeks, so on and so forth. So this one still looks like, based on precedents, that it has about another week to go of negative correlation. So, if gold continues to go up or stays at where it is, and Bitcoin continues to trade within this range or even break down, then that would support this negative correlation for the average amount of time, at least based on the correlation coefficient's recent history, right? And then it also supports the potential Bitcoin rally after hitting these negative or this downside action and hitting these support levels, that Bitcoin will then go back to being correlated with gold. Now, again, correlation does not signify price. So if Bitcoin's price and gold's price start dropping, then they will be positively correlated. Does that make sense? That means they're moving in conjunction with each other. But based on how the stock market is going, obviously, a lot of traders are expecting a recession, and so they're putting in money into gold. And unless the talks of the recession just dwindle down and disappear into ether, then we will continue to see gold trading at these high levels. I think we might see a retracement, but I don't think we'll see a breakdown or a correction in gold in the imminent term. And Bitcoin's price will then rise to correlate with gold's price. Now, take it for what you will. I wouldn't make trades based off of this indicator alone, but it is a very interesting data point that you cannot ignore, especially in the current market situation with the impending recession, or what analysts believe is an impending recession, and how gold is clearly acting like a hedge against that. I mean, even myself, I did a video on what I was doing during the recession. I'll post a link to that here. But I did a video on how to handle the recession and what I'm doing in a recession, and how I'm de-risking by divesting out of certain stocks and divesting my stock allocation overall as well. Not just the stocks that I'm trading, but my overall distribution of my funds that I have tied up in the stock market. I'm divesting from that a bit as well. And it's clear that traders are doing that too because of the volume that's coming in. Yeah, you see this increased volume here compared to where we were in all of 2017, where the bull market was still going on and people were more interested in speculating on stocks rather than gold. Anyway, so it is an interesting data point between Bitcoin and gold that I think you should take into consideration. Now, all this can go away if we do get the volume that we need, and Bitcoin sees a breakout of this bullish pennant, and especially if we see a short squeeze effect take place, where there's probably a bunch of shorts here set up at around 11,000, maybe a little bit below that. And if we get the momentum and the volume, we could essentially use those shorts as fuel to continue to propel the price past this bullish pennant. Like I said, there's multiple ways to play that. I will be sending out the levels in the trade alerts below. Sign up if you want access to that. And also, if you want access to the stock trade alerts, if you're part of the diamond traders and above, you also are entered automatically into the 0.03 Bitcoin drawing that I do at the beginning of every month. And that's coming up in about 4 days as well. Looking at the equities market real quick, you'll see that we're down about 0.5% all across the board. We did start off really strong opening the market. I did sell off a bunch of positions that, in the opening of the market, sometimes you tend to see prices take off, and you can actually offload a lot of positions that either you were slightly down on, or you could take profit on those that have hit your targets. A lot of this anomalous trading does happen at the opening of the markets. at 9:30 Eastern time. And obviously you see the continued storylines about the impending market disaster that's about to happen. And you do see also the opposite side of this where certain analysts are saying there's nothing to worry about, et cetera, et cetera. The thing is, nobody knows, but what you can do is protect yourself. And again, go watch that video where I talked about how to handle a market recession if you're interested. One thing I can tell you about the recession is that when it happens, it's going to take everybody by surprise. So your best option is not to be surprised. And to do that, you have to be proactive instead of reactive. All right, that is it for this video. If you need help with technical analysis or would like one-on-one coaching for technical analysis through video conference sessions with me, I take a maximum of 10 people per month. It looks like I have 3 or 4 openings coming up for September. So sign up if you want access to that. Same link is in the description. I'm working on my new website where you'll be able to go through there instead of going through Patreon. And I'm looking at crypto payment options as well. Leave a thumbs up if you got anything out of this video. Leave a comment in the comment section below if you have an agreement, disagreement, whatever. Let me know where you think the markets are going and where you think Bitcoin specifically is going as well. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. Stay safe, traders. Peace.